Hi everyone, I hope all is well. My name is Ashanti and welcome to Uniquely Ashanti's Corner. If you've been following my page for a while, you already know that I don't usually touch on relationship advice. The only time that I'll actually talk about it is if someone makes a request or if there's a topic that I feel like needs to be addressed. And in this case, is something that I feel like needs to be addressed. Now, before I start, let me just say that this video is not meant to bash anyone that is mentioned. This is just simply to shed light on something that I feel like is not discussed a lot. So with that being said, let's get started. So when you're in a committed relationship with someone, the next stage is introducing that special someone to friends and family, right? If you go online, read books, or even talk to people around you, a lot of that advice circles around making sure your partner is comfortable, since he or she will most likely be very nervous at that time. However, what people don't talk about as much is making sure that people you're introducing your partner to are comfortable as well. If you bring your significant other to an event that's really more formal or reserved for certain people, then it can really throw people off guard and make you look bad. And I'm going to give you guys an example from my own experience. As some of you are aware, I graduated from college. And if you're not aware, I graduated last year and did a two-part video about that. And if you have not seen it, I will leave a link down in the description box so you can go check it out if you haven't done so already. If you already have, then thank you for tuning in. Anyway, graduation day for me was filled with a few hiccups, and this was the day that I was first introduced to my older sister's fiance. Well, I guess I should say in person. So a few months before that, my sister had unexpectedly introduced him to me when she was FaceTiming him on her phone, which I did not appreciate at all. He just said hi to me and I said hi back. That's it. And for the sake of clarity, let's just call my sister's fiance John. I'm not going to mention his real name. Honestly, and that's my phone ringing. Okay guys, sorry about that. That was one of my relatives calling on the phone. They wanted something and I had to stop real quick. So back to what I was saying, I was not feeling comfortable meeting him on graduation day. My sister told our parents that she was bringing him, but I never heard it from her mouth, which I found to be really strange. When my sister and I talked about graduation details, she always said I. She never said we. She never mentioned her fiance's name. Even though I was not surprised that he was coming, I found it to be really strange that our parents were the only ones that mentioned that he was coming. I have no idea whatsoever why she never told me herself, because she normally would tell me something like that even if she told our parents. Back in May 2018, my sister mentioned that me, her, and John could go to a museum so we could get better acquainted with each other, get to know each other, right? And I was on board with her. I told her, let me know when you guys want to do that. But I soon realized that was nothing but talk, because my first meeting with him ended up being in December 2018 when I was graduating. She had 6 months to arrange that, but she never brought up the subject again. Anyway, getting back to graduation, I'm going to try and keep this short. There were basically 4 moments where I felt extremely uncomfortable. The first one being when we were first introduced. My sister and John had just arrived, and as I'm walking towards my sister's car, he smiles and says, "Hi, congratulations." And I was the one who walked up to him to shake his hand and introduce myself. And looking back at that moment, I feel like my sister should have introduced him to me, or he should have walked towards me to introduce himself. But since we were running late, thanks to my sister, which is a long story, I think I'll let that one slide. The second awkward moment was the seating arrangement in my sister's car. I thought the seating was going to go one of two ways. First way would be my sister and John in the front while my father and I sat in the back. The second way would be the men in the front and the ladies in the back. But instead, my sister and father were in the front and John and I were in the back together. We didn't even talk to each other because apparently he's a very quiet person and was mostly on his phone. And you guys already know, if you've been following my page, you already know I am a quiet person myself. So yeah, awkward. The third awkward moment was when we were taking pictures before I graduated. I had about 20-25 minutes before I was going to graduate, right? So my sister wanted to take pictures. Again, the arrangement of who was standing next to who was completely different from what I had in my head. As a kind stranger took our picture, my sister was standing next to our father, I was in the middle, and John kind of like extends his arm across my back, almost like a hug. I might have been smiling in that picture, but on the inside I was cringing so much, y'all. I did not like that at all. When I realized what was going on inside of my head, I promise you, I was like, dude, what the heck are you doing putting your arm around me? I don't know you like that. Get your arm up off my body right now. Right now. My whole body just got stiff, y'all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against John. I don't even know him. I honestly don't know him. But the thing is, I do not like it when people try to hug me and I don't know them yet. I gotta get used to you first. Let me get to know you first, you know? I can't tell you how many times my mom has forced me to hug people that I just met because she is a hugger herself. She's a big hugger herself. And how I cringed for every second of those hugs. I mean, why couldn't my sister just stand next to John and then I stood next to our father? That would have been so much better, you know? There's no truth behind the smile that I gave in those pictures we took. And just thinking about it just, ooh, it just makes me cringe. Y'all see me balling up my fence. It's just, ooh, it just makes me cringe. Okay, anyway, moving on to the final moment, which was saying goodbye. John approached me with a smile saying, hi, congratulations again. And I feel like he was waiting for me to hug him. And he didn't go for it. But I strongly felt like he was expecting it. Probably because of the whole picture thing earlier. But I stuck out my hand again and we shook hands and I told him it was nice to meet him and that I hope we can get to know each other better. I guess since I didn't say anything about the picture thing, he thought that we were in the hugging stage. Nope. Sorry, I still don't know you. I still don't know you. We are not in the hugging stage. I mean, we didn't really get a chance to talk. And whenever he did say something to me, it was just congratulations, congratulations again. But I'm assuming that he was just really nervous. So maybe he felt like he had to say something, but that's all he could say. So as you can tell from the moments I shared with you, I was very uncomfortable being around my sister's fiance that day. And I felt like he was being forced on me, you know. A graduation, in my opinion, to me, is an event for 4 types of people. Your family, your friends, people who have helped you in your academic journey, such as a tutor, and the 4th are other people you have gotten better acquainted with prior, keyword, prior to the event, which is where a relative's partner would fit in here. But my sister did not set up for us to get better acquainted. And the thing is, my sister did not do that with our parents. Early on in the relationship, my sister actually pressed my parents really hard to meet John, mostly because John asked, from what I understand. She wanted to bring him over to the house, but my parents had busy schedules, and plus my parents wanted them to date a little bit longer before inviting him over, which is very understandable. I understand their feelings. Now, my sister knows better. If she just sprung her fiance on our parents like she did with me, our parents would let her have it. Do you hear me? My parents don't play that. I'm just going to leave it at that. My parents, they're not going for that, okay? But it really bothered me that my sister didn't give me that same respect. And for a few weeks after that, I kept rewinding that moment back in my head, asking myself why my sister felt like I didn't need the same introduction that she gave our parents. And after reflecting on this, I strongly feel like our relationship plays a big part in this. You see, my sister and I are not close. We don't hate each other or anything, you know. We love each other, but we don't really know each other, you know. And there's a lot of layers as to why that is, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Please don't ask. Basically, she has her own life and I have mine. So since we're not close, I feel like my sister wasn't concerned about my opinion of John and giving me the opportunity of getting to know who he is. She introduced him to our parents, her friends, some of her co-workers, other relatives, but she did not introduce him to me. She didn't even tell me, like I told you guys before, that he was coming to my graduation. She only told my parents. And at the time, it just really felt like a slap to my face. Since my sister made sure the setting for when she introduced her fiance to other people was appropriate, this is how I pretty much came to this conclusion of how all of this transpired between me, her, and her fiance. If my sister and I had a closer relationship, I feel like she would have made it a goal for me to meet John prior to my graduation. But at this point, it looks like I probably won't get an official introduction to John until he is officially my brother-in-law, which is kind of odd. I know that's odd, but it looks like that's how things are going to be. And even though how it happened still bothers me sometimes, I think I understand why it happened now, and it's helping me to move on and be able to talk about it with you guys. Because recently this subject has been pressing on my brain and I didn't exactly know why it kept popping in my head. So one day I just randomly searched on Google for any websites related to introducing your partner to family and friends, and the majority of the results I saw related to making sure your partner was comfortable. I only saw one website related to picking the right setting for family and friends. There are probably more out there, but I didn't come across in the small search I did. I just felt led to talk about this since it's not addressed as much from what I see, and it served as a learning lesson for me. I mean, one of the greatest things about having an older sibling is whether you're close to them or not, you are able to learn from their mistakes so you can handle similar situations differently for better outcomes. When it comes to time for me to introduce my future partner to someone, I don't want anyone to feel the same way I did when my sister did this to me, because it did not feel good when it happened to me. So to those of you who are dating, when you reach the stage where things are getting serious and it's time to introduce your partner, do not make it a surprise to those you're introducing him or her to. When someone feels like that you are pushing someone on them, that creates a lot of awkward moments and can actually cause some friction between you and the person you're introducing your significant other to. My sister introducing her fiance when she did was a very, very poor choice because we didn't get a chance to have one-on-one time since a graduation, and the graduation party is where you're surrounded by a whole bunch of people at a time. You want to pick something casual and more laid back, like going to lunch or going to the museum, so your partner and the person you're introducing him or her to don't feel any pressure, you know? Even if you're not necessarily close to the person you're introducing your partner to, like in the case of me and my sister, it's very important to make sure that person is comfortable. I think it's also important to keep the lines of communication open as well. Let's say you want to make sure that your uncle was comfortable with you inviting your significant other to a gathering he's having. Call a few weeks ahead and say something like, hey, I was considering bringing my partner to your party so you guys can meet. Is that all right with you? Now, this shows that you are being mindful of others' feelings outside of your partner's. And if your uncle says something like, well, I don't feel comfortable with that because X, Y, and Z, don't take this personally. The person just may not feel like that's the right timing, and you have to respect that. And a possible solution is to say something along the lines of, I understand your feelings. How about we all meet for lunch so we can get better acquainted? And there's no guarantee, but arranging a one-on-one meeting could actually make someone change their mind and lead them to inviting your partner to more events in the future. That way, there's less tension and everyone is happy. You can't treat something like this as something on a to-do list. You have to put some very careful thought into it, because all the attention can't just be on your partner, despite what the majority of sources and your friends and whoever tells you. You got to make sure that everybody is comfortable, okay? So that's my take on this subject. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that this was helpful to someone. If so, let me know in the comments, and please share this with others. If you do leave a comment, please refrain from profaning language, even if it's an abbreviation. Please be respectful. Also, make sure you guys go check out my graduation video. It's a two-part video. If you have not seen it, I will link it down in the description box below so you guys can easily access it. And if I remember to do it, I'll probably put it in that little iCard thing too, if I can remember. So yeah. God bless you guys, and I will talk to you soon. And where's that button at? Oh, yes, right here. Bye.